What's up there, Ada Nation? Welcome to Dapp Central, your home for everything blockchain and crypto. Sad news today. We've got one of the bigger projects in the ecosystem officially calling it quits, moving over into the base ecosystem. I'm just not going to waste any time. We're going to jump right on in. This is coming in from the Ape Society. I want to read a piece from their latest Medium article, and then I want to give you guys my 2 cents. I think this has sort of been written on the walls for a little bit over 2 or 3 months, and there's been a cascading effect here of different events that have taken place. So it's not to say that I'm not surprised. Obviously, it's not, the best outcome. It would have been even better to see them expanding, but they're officially leaving Cardano. So from here on out, there's going to be a bridge in order to transfer your assets. There's also going to be a sapphire system, which basically allows for you to be rewarded in quote unquote sapphires in the new base ecosystem for any assets that you don't necessarily want to migrate. So it reads here, it's time for a new base. Now I'm going to jump into the Medium article. And again, I've highlighted a couple of pieces here, so I want to hit on what they've said themselves before I jump into sort of what my take is. In the coming weeks, it reads, the Ape Society will be bridging to base a builder-friendly ETH Layer 2 that we believe will be one of the biggest pillars in bringing the world on chain. Now, Base, for anybody who isn't aware, is a Layer 2 built on Ethereum. They actually don't have their own token, but you can use ETH in order to interact with that particular ecosystem. Now, they're one of the fastest growing blockchains. As you can imagine, they're able to basically leverage all the Coinbase users in order to potentially funnel them into the Base ecosystem. So it sounds like the Ape Society team is betting on the fact that Base will be able to be brought into, right, the bigger networks, given the leveraging of Coinbase and them being able to funnel their existing users into that particular ecosystem. So it continues to read, Base has a goal of onboarding their 100 million users from Coinbase, and we aim to be a part of that history. Now, I just want to add a word of caution here. Nothing actually guarantees that this is going to work out. It's interesting that Coinbase creates their own Layer 2 right before the bull market begins. This was, I think, kicked off maybe 6 to 8 months ago now. It might actually be coming close to a year, but at the very bottom of the bear is when they kicked off their Base network. And it's going to be interesting because right now, there really isn't an entire ecosystem built. Now, yes, they've got meme coins and they're starting to build, but it doesn't necessarily guarantee that once the bull market is over, that people are going to stick around and actually continue to use the chain. So I just want to sort of highlight that there. It's like Coinbase can make a lot of promises, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to play out. Moving down, it reads, when we first set out to create the Ape Society, we wanted to create a Web3 country club that was boosted by unique creative abilities and our builder mentality. As time has gone on, we've realized that we need to take a new step to embrace a chain that more reflects what we're trying to accomplish as a project. Basically saying that they're not satisfied with how Cardano is aligning with their expectation. Now, for those unfamiliar with Base, it's an L2 created by Coinbase, and it's built on top of optimism. By every metric, Base is outperforming the general market and has emerged as one of the ETH L2s. Again, let's not get it twisted. 4, 5, 6 years ago, Ethereum was the network to be on. And then that changed, right? And now it's Base. That could potentially change. So I think sort of trend hopping, going where the numbers are right now, isn't necessarily a good idea. It's not to say that they can't expand there, but packing up your bags from Cardano, moving over to a brand new network, in my eyes, is not the best choice. Now, again, it doesn't mean that Base couldn't hit their 100 million users, but there's also no guarantee of that. So here's a couple of charts here breaking down the weekly transactions, on-chain transactions, new users, etc. And if you want to do the same thing, you could go back and look at Cardano. At one point, Cardano was one of the leaders, right? Cardano actually hit all-time highs before a lot of other altcoins and actually also started bleeding out a lot faster than other altcoins. So each sort of network, right? When it's brand new, there's shiny objects, there's opportunity there, there's liquidity there, and you see an onboarding or an influx of people trying to build there. Now, will those people stay there? Are they particularly just meme coin traders, people looking for a quick profit? Again, that's yet to be seen. So now that we better understand what they're doing, where they're moving to, let's break down sort of the benefits that they mentioned here in their article. So it states here, another strong benefit of moving to Base is for their DAO. There's going to be a lot more liquidity and a lot more volume on Base. again, Cardano went through a phase where we had a lot of liquidity, a lot of on-chain activity, with at one point the floor price for the Ape Society hitting 20,000 ADA, right? So they basically saw that value here back then, and I'm not sure why they're fading Cardano at this point. Yeah, everywhere you go, NFTs are down, but it doesn't mean that you should turn your back on one of the chains where you saw so much potential at. Now, it states here, if we're able to succeed in our transition, the DAO will basically be able to have a lot more funds to work with. So it comes down to liquidity, volume, and the DAO. In addition, in the past, we've been forced to focus too much on DeFi primitives. If you're not aware, the team did focus and build Levy Finance. They also built a couple of other sort of DeFi related products, but it seems like they don't necessarily want to be forced into doing that. It continues to read, one issue that we ran into with a lot of our products was that we were limited by speed and cost. Now, they had a few Project Catalyst proposals that got denied, and they were very vocal about the fact that like the Cardano community was basically blocking them or hating on the Ape Society. Now, they have a very strong culture as well, right? So it was either like you were in the Ape Society community or you were completely against it. It continues to read on though, we can mint, do transactions, play games, etc. for pennies and seconds at scale that were unlikely to be limited by on the Base network. Base also allows for us to have better decentralization, which I'm not necessarily too sure about, as everything can be done on chain rather than using off-chain scripts due to UTXO/concurrency limitations. We're also less dependent on services run by relatively small companies that have single points of failure. They're not stating anything by name here, but I do agree that there are some services that we definitely do need more redundancy and security with. Finally, we want to be in a position where we are adjacent to success. Again, if you read between the line here, they're basically stating that Cardano is not adjacent to success. I don't know if they got FUDed too much, if they just got impatient. Whatever the case is, take that last sentence there as you wish. The very last thing I want to touch on here are what's going to happen, right? So moving forward, there's going to be a bridge for apes. You'll be able to migrate your apes onto the Base ecosystem for no charge in the next coming weeks. And then for anybody who doesn't want to transfer their assets, you can do one of three options. Option number one is to convert everything into sapphires, where it reads, we can't bring everything to Base with us, but it doesn't mean that the journey so far has been worthless. You'll be able to exchange your cabins, passports, buildings, furniture, diamond hand trophies, crest tickets, and other regretonis, I don't even know what that means, for sapphires. Option number two is to allow for the DAO to take over the cabins and passports. And then option number three is for something else. If any option or in any option, we'll be eliminating landmarks, which were basically add-ons within sort of like their ecosystem, which would provide people with different NFTs based off of their cabin location with more value. So they're going to be taking that sort of system away, and they know that it's going to be controversial, but they basically state that they don't want to have too much pressure for them to deliver, and they don't want too much speculation surrounding price of their assets. Now, they do also talk about their society token, but before I get to that, there's an interesting sentence here that I've highlighted, basically breaking down that they were anticipating technical improvements from Cardano that never came to fruition. So again, I'm not sure if they were just impatient, but it seems like whatever tech they're expecting didn't actually play out. Scrolling down, it talks a little bit more about society, stating that society will be bridged from Cardano to Base, and society will no longer be a DeFi token, and they'll be pivoting into other social fi and culture niches. Now, that's it. I mean, again, interesting read. What I want to highlight here now are some of my thoughts. So first and foremost, let's take a look at the society token. This is the chart following the announcement. It pumped up 40% and then immediately sold off by 50%. The Ape Society NFT collection, which is here, we have the floor price of that. As you can see there, this is around the peak. And as you can see there, we're now hitting an all-time low. If I jump into a smaller time frame, you can see that this is when they made the announcement. The floor price dropped sharply. And then we've had a little bit of a rebound since then, people picking them up on sale. Now, all of that aside, there have been a few events here that have led up to this. Number one, Charles recently canceled a space with this team. And this was about 2 months ago when they were trying to raise funds for their Levy Finance V2, I believe. So they already had the society token. And this is a lot of FUD that literally transpired in a couple of weeks. They had the society token. They said, hey, we're going to create a new token for Levy. That obviously was a huge blow to the team. A lot of people weren't happy about that. And as they were trying to promote the Levy token, they asked Charles for a space. Charles basically got wind of the fact that they were creating a new token. And he said, hey, I don't want to have to deal with this. I don't want to be seen as endorsing this project. As you see at the very top here, we've got an ape poster or an ape piece of artwork there in the back. Obviously, since the announcement of them leaving to base, that's been removed. But that was like the first sort of big piece of like drama around that team. Them announcing Levy, them announcing the new token, Charles canceling. But then as a follow-up, they weren't able to raise enough funds. So because they weren't able to raise the funds, they had to walk back the Levy token. You can imagine that created even more drama. People sold their society in anticipation of Levy, and then vice versa. And then Levy never even came about. So that was the sort of like the big first thing. The second was Project Catalyst. So this team had put out a few Project Catalyst proposals where they were asking for funds from the community in order to build a wallet. I think in 2 out of 2 rounds, it was denied. Both times they were very vocal about whales being haters of the ape society, which Catalyst is an open system. I've put out proposals, never gotten them approved. I know other people that put out proposals, never been approved. But one thing I've never done is try to blame the community, right? If your proposal is there, people want it, people see value in it, they'll approve it. In this case, they were asking for, I think, 800 to 900,000 ADA, so nearly 1 million ADA for their wallet. Again, never really got funded. Now, in addition to that, there has been some beef with Hosky. So the Ape Society team was always sort of going back and forth with Hosky, stating that Hosky was trying to sabotage all of their efforts, specifically when it came to collaborating with Charles, and then also even with things like Project Catalyst. The Ape Society team was also very vocal about the fact that Hosky had gotten some onboarding funding through Project Catalyst for little cards, right, that basically give people an airdrop of certain tokens in the Cardano ecosystem to anybody who might be outside the ecosystem. So not only did the Ape Society team's proposal get denied, their sort of competitor in the space, Hosky, who they obviously didn't like, their proposal was actually approved. Now, following a lot of this drama, there was also a Twitter space where the team basically said, hey, if Cardano doesn't want us here, we're going to take our talents elsewhere. Charles again called them out on that, and they basically said, hey, it was a slip of the tongue. We're not going anywhere, but we're talking or thinking about expanding. Obviously, hindsight is 2020. That was not their intention. They were getting ready to move, and they've obviously done that. So again, you do with that what you will. It just seems like there was a lot of writing on the wall. I wanted to highlight some of the facts that they've released, touching on liquidity, adoption, etc., but then also some of the other sort of intricacies and issues that have popped up here within the actual Cardano ecosystem. Now, granted, yes, they've provided a lot of value here. They've onboarded a lot of people. I remember this actually minting for about 300 or 400 ADA, again, rising all the way up to about 20,000 ADA. So it is unfortunate to see them leave, but it is what it is. We continue to build, and we wish them all the best. That will do it here for today's video, breaking down one of the bigger teams within the NFT spaces here in Cardano, moving over into base. As always, if you appreciate content like this and you learn anything along the way, I would appreciate you if you could smash that thumbs up. If it's your first time stopping by and you want more content like this, consider subscribing. And last but not least, if you have any questions or just want to share your opinion, right, about Cardano or the Ape Society or base, then leave a comment down below. That said, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.